They say they want this more science, so I'ma give it to them. Islamism, no illusions when I'm interviewing. Know what I'm doing, no confusion, I ain't into cooning. I'm in the moving units, out here starting revolutions. In love with shooters, making masterminds out the goonage. I got them booming out here, zooming on the plane of soul. I tell them take me to the grove, they like Islam mode. I'm letting them know this not a show, this all systems go. It's two selves, one man, both high and low. I'm so spiritual, the indigos feel the vibe. I'm so lyrical, a miracle that I survive. Extend my 5 to the 4, I can see him coming. Plus my angel got the angle with the engine running. It's all justice, freedom, peace, truth, and love.
It's chapter 7, mind of an Asiatic, homie. Yo, see, any other time, I wouldn't pay you any mind. Put my best foot forward in every verse and every line. I used to dream, I used to pray about the day that I get signed into the truth. About this business just blew my mind. I swear to God, I used to think all I needed was a skill, high verse, catchy hook, dope look, then get a deal. I used to love the rock a sold out show, just for the thrill, until the real was revealed to my spirit like Jabril. I'm iconic.
I am not a Negro, black, colored, African American. I'm a Moorish American. Peace.
Yeah. Hey, 5 on the right, 2 on the left, man. You know what time it is. Yo. We just Moors in America, soar through the shores and endure criminal acts of war on our character. 7 years after the 4th score, no reward. Shout out to the most courageous, they was jumping over barriers. Where does that compare to you? We come from a place where you scared to visit our area. We come from a place where it's scary for good Samaritans. Heavy luggage we carrying, babies having babies. It's crazy being American. Praise the one and only Allah, there's no comparison. La ilaha illa Allah, body and buried gin. Laughing at you clowns like ha-ha, dodging the Nephilim. Conquer lower self with the high, follow your regimen. Way before they came we were gods and now we specimen. Tried to take the light from our eyes, thank God for Edison. Then they put the wool on our eyes, it's so embarrassing. Now we travel frequently, we should invest in Sheraton. All of us got gold on our bodies whenever we stepping in. Screaming Ramadan, Mubarak, training the flesh again. Wishing we could move as a unit just like the Mexicans. Dodging all the foods with estrogen, synthetic medicines. All sin isn't devilish. Sometimes the decisions that you make come for a better gift. Sometimes when you sin is to relate to all your brethren. Heavenly gates all in our face, we the champions. We live in the sky, we see the angels on the chariots. Waiting on the $20 bill, facing Harriet. I bet you I'ma carry it. I'm in love with music to the point I wanna marry it. But my love for people is greater, so I write messages. Largest spending power, but we still sit at a deficit. Living amongst prejudice, even at our residence. Moors in America, flourishing, excellent. Let's buy up some neighborhoods and groom our own president. Yeah. And I come to you today with all intentions of spreading love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
All right, Islam Moors. This is Moors in America. One thing I want to say before we get started, this video represents the views of the presenters and it's based off our personal research and life experience. In no way is this content endorsed by or representative of the official policies of any other organizations out here. We're just going off of our experience. First and foremost, though, we always rise giving the highest praise to the Most High, the Creator, the Sustainer, our Father God Allah, on this holy day. Honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality. We also give honors to the forerunners of the prophet, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and we also give honors to all the Muslims, all the true Moorish American Muslims out there. We also extend honors to all the light bringers out there, regardless of your ethnicity, religion, whatever. We give honors to all the light bringers, all the faithful. We also give honors to you for sharing this. You know, you're going to hit like and share, comment, everything to help get these algorithms going up so that more people can see what we're doing here. We're speaking on something that's important, something that gets glossed over, speaking about the families, the Moorish American families. A lot of people don't realize how important that is. I don't know how you can't, but it's important. This is where the nation starts, this is where the nation begins, this is where it ends. It all goes back to the family unit and the raising of the children. Okay, and it's important, and there's so many influences out here. You know, in Revelations, right? In the scripture, in the Bible, Revelations, I believe 12:4, it says that the dragon is waiting on the woman's baby to be born. He's waiting on that baby to be born to what? To devour it. So before it even comes out the womb, the dragon, the lower self, is waiting to devour the children. And we see this because we live in a culture now, especially if you're here with me in North America. We're in a culture where degeneracy is promoted. It's pumped, it's pushed at us from all directions. And so literally that dragon is right there waiting to devour your innocent, pure child. So it's of the utmost importance that we take this seriously and that we realize the situation that we're in and the importance of being proactive in the raising of your child and the importance of instilling our culture, our values. You know, a lot of people don't even realize we have culture, we have values, things that are of importance to us, and we have a culture that actually extends beyond slavery, right? We don't start as slavery. We descend from the founders of civilization. And you are what your forefathers were without doubt or contradiction. Okay? Islam. And that's great. I see we already have some questions in the chat. I mean, look, this question right here, we can answer that right here, right now, very simply, very easily. Why is the Moorish fez clear, but the Shriners fez have markings? So when you're talking about the Shriners, you're talking about the Muslim sun. You're talking about people who are carrying on a tradition that's not necessarily their culture. Okay, but they're wearing a fez that has different sayings on it. Like, for example, it may say Muslim. It may say the Arabian, shrine. It may say several different things on there that allude to the culture that they're emulating. So not knocking Shriners or anything, but that's not ours. We don't have to do that. We wear the fez plain and clear because our prophet let us know in the saying, he said, why not be the plain truth, just like me, your prophet? We don't have to market. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to add any fancy things to it. People want to add, fancy like the Shriners do with the jewels and things all on it. We don't have to do any of that. We're not wearing someone else's culture. We're returning to our own culture. And this is extremely important. You may see this up on the screen. This is just a comment from the internet. somebody was saying blacks of America really don't have a proper culture to begin with. Rap, tattoos, Jordans, street degeneracy, worship isn't real culture. At least not anything that is approximating order and collective success. I didn't say this. Somebody else noticed this and said this online. And you know, what they were speaking on, it was a video. This guy, this ex-basketball player, he goes to the hood and he's like hanging out in some hood in Chicago with some, you know, guys. I guess they, you know, into the gang life, gang banging. And so he said in the video, he's coming to check in, right? And this guy's, you know, like pushing 50 and he's, you know, in the hood to check in and get street cred and all this. And this is the older brother doing this, you know? And a lot of people were looking at that and wondering why the hell is he doing that? That's backwards, right? And so, you know, it's important to realize that, man, being, you know, being unconscious is not cool. It's not a flex. It's not cool to be out here doing drugs. It's not cool. And that's not our culture. Being criminals, being untrustworthy, being dangerous, being down for whatever, being ignorant, being foolish. That's not our culture. Street degeneracy, worship. That's not our culture. You can't buy into that way of thinking, that erroneous way of thinking, and then get mad when people who have a culture want nothing to do with you. When people like, you know, people from India, people from Nigeria, people from, you know, different places where they have a culture where they're telling their children when they come over here, when they're raising their families here, they're like, stay away from them. You can't get mad at that. Okay? You can't get mad at that. Right? So that's not our culture. And also, we don't mark our fez because that's not our culture. The Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, returned our culture to us. It's ancient. All right? He returned something to us that's ancient. And we wear the, you know, the plain fez. So why would we try to change it up when we have something that's ancient? All right? There's no need to do that. Okay, somebody just said, did you see all the Africans being killed in Morocco? No, I haven't been looking, you know, into that information, but that sounds interesting. If you want to send the link or post the link in here, post it, right? And yeah, I saw that. You know, people were calling that brother out, saying that he's supposed to be a Muslim now. I guess he's been talking like he's a Muslim, but he's in the streets and, you know, he's talking, basically the same type of BS that you would expect people in the streets to be talking. So it's like, you're older. If you're going to be in the streets, you need to be sharing some light, right? You're not coming here trying to act like, you know, you getting some kind of credibility off of hanging out with people who's living in poverty, right? That's backwards. And then especially when you're older, when you're like old enough to be these people's parents, that's backwards. All right. But hey, it's all right. So, yeah. And then just to go back to the questions, though, I'm not knocking any of these groups. Like, I'm not knocking different Masonic groups or organizations. Not knocking them. I'm just saying that as Moorish American Muslims, that's not our culture to mark the fez or, you know, to put different jewels and things on it. We don't have to do that. We don't need to do that. All right. And for brothers and sisters that are in those organizations, we're not knocking them for doing that. You know, they're part of that organization. That's what those organizations do. But we, as Moorish American Muslims returning to Islam, right? Islam is submitting to the will of Allah. Okay. What is submitting to the will of Allah? We'll come on in and learn. We have a Holy Day class later on. You can go to the link in the description. Get on Zoom with us. Find out what it really means, because it doesn't mean, and not knocking people in different countries that practice Islam, but it doesn't mean that we're trying to copy Persians, right? We're not trying to copy people, you know, Arabs. We're not trying to copy their culture, right? We're returning to something that's ancient, all right? And Islam is not limited to one region. It's not limited to Arabic, one language, one culture. Right? You couldn't go to the people living in Fiji or living in Hawaii or living somewhere else and they're practicing their indigenous ways. They recognize the creator. They're living in peace. You can't come to them and tell them, you're going to suffer. You're going to burn in the hellfire because you don't practice my culture. No, hell, no. That's crazy, right? Wherever they're at, they are practicing Islam. If they recognize the creator, if they're living in peace, in unison, I don't care if they're not doing the 5 pillars of Islam, because they may be doing that in their own way, right? You have to understand it, that wherever people are in the world, if they're practicing peace, if they're living in harmony, you can't come and put your culture, your specific way of life on them and say that they're in error. That's foolish. So we Moorish Americans are practicing Islam as returned to us by our prophet Noble Drew Ali. And this is how we can get on one accord, by coming in and practicing the principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So for the person to ask where the link is, the Zoom info is in the video description. All right. The Holy Day class, that's every Friday, 7 p.m. Sunday, 7 p.m. Every time. Come in. Whatever questions you have, feel free to ask. But this is where we make sure that we're all in accord, that we're practicing our divine principles, that we understand what it means to be, and that we're teaching this to our children. Okay? And you know what? I have a picture of that Black Madonna living overseas in Brazil. We actually saw those. We actually saw like little statues of the Black Madonna. We actually saw on TV, actually, a priest was on there, a Catholic priest, and he was on there in front of the whole congregation praying down to the Black Madonna. Okay, so we know that's very real. Also, I guess recently there was a beauty contest, and the Brazilian winner, she was dressed like the Black Madonna, right? Let me see if I can pull that up. I'm trying to pull that up. Might not be able to find that because I'm trying to get it at the last minute. I wish I could pull that image up for you, but anyway, I don't know if she was crowned Miss Universe or what. Get that image, man. I'm not gonna be able to find it just like that, but I can show you the Black Madonna though. I can. So yeah, that's very true, and we saw that, and that's imagery that you don't really see a lot here in the at least in the United States, but we saw that. So the Black Madonna, you'll see this a lot. We actually had this little statue. They were selling it in stores, right? Even with the little dark-skinned baby, dark-skinned Madonna, dark-skinned baby, and Brazil recently had a beauty pageant winner, right? She was crowned Miss something, Miss Universe, something like that. Yeah. And so, man, I wish I had the picture of her. Is that her? Nope. Well, it was cool because she was Asiatic. She was a sister and she won. And so, yeah, very true. And I guess we're going to go discussion with me and my wife, my Moabitess. And as I was saying, we're talking about Moorish American family, the importance of it, how to raise your family with all of these things going on that are pushing degeneracy, to still be successful, to still be able to do this. And this is of the utmost importance. This is the most important thing. And I'm not just saying this because that's just how I feel. It is. But I think everyone will benefit from this discussion, and that's why we're sharing it. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. One thing, though, before we do, I just want to ask that everybody click like and share this video. OK, for everybody, share this video. Help to get this information out. And remember, you can join the Zoom class. You can come on to the class and ask questions. It'll be this evening at 7. And then every Sunday, too, at 7. Every Friday, Sunday at 7. All right. You can also send donations. The donations, the links in there for the Cashapp or the Cashapp name. You can do it for this podcast. It's $Moors in America. And then you can also send a donation to our temple too. And that's OhioMoors7. So everybody feel free to send in donations and click like and share this video. And on that note, we getting started now. Okay, I see we have some more people in here. Great. Everybody click like and share. Peace. Happy Holy Day, Moors. Yep. You know what, Moors? I'm gonna get that picture because I see a lot of people want to see that. Let me find this for you, man. I don't know what it was, man. It might have been like Miss Universe or something like that. Let me see. Yo, it was crazy too, because I think in that same beauty pageant, the one who won for Miss Haiti, or not won, but the one representing Haiti, she was European descent, man. She didn't look anything like the majority of the people from Haiti. So, okay, maybe it wasn't Miss Universe, but man, Miss World. Nope. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to find it, but I wish I could have. It was awesome, though. I just love seeing that because, you know, we saw that in real life just being down there. And that's just something that's just not displayed to the world. And I'm glad just personally from living in Brazil to see the Asiatic people there waking up. As we started to see that, you know, the majority of the people there are dark-skinned people. And it's not like what they usually show. They'll show Brazil. They'll show like people like this, people that look mixed or of European descent. Not saying she's not of African descent either, just saying like that's what they show. But the majority of the people there look like the majority of the people in Detroit, right? Majority of Brazilians just look like this. They don't look like they mix with anything, but they don't show you that on TV. They don't even show that on TV in Brazil, right? So they definitely not going to promote that to the world. But, you know, so that from knowing that about Brazil, it was cool to see that they actually had a beauty pageant winner, right, who's representing that. So, you know, enough about that, though. Like I said, we're talking about the families because this is of the utmost importance. And just enjoy this discussion with me and the Moabites, and everybody hit like and share. Islam, happy holy day.
Peace and love. Happy holy day, family.
All right, Islam more. So we want to speak to you just in general. Just have a conversation about raising families, raising real Moorish American families, Moorish American Muslim families in the modern day and age, and the some of those struggles that we may have, and just keeping it real, being real about the world we're living in and what's going on, and how to actually raise our children to be successful Muslims.
Yes, because the family is the most important thing on this planet. And if the family is focused on living halal and focused on God, the true and living God, first we have to actually understand what that means. But once you understand what that means, to focus on Allah, on God, with all your heart and understanding, then your family unit is going to be unstoppable.
And one thing I just want to say before we get started is, just from raising 5 children, man, it would be extremely difficult to do it by yourself. Not saying that it can't be done, but you're going to need assistance from the other parent.
And that's why
even if you're not
important.
together,
Yes.
you know, you still got to work together. Because, like, you know, my wife, you know, she does a much better job, you know, getting through to the children than me. I'm just keeping it real. It's got to be a team, you know. So even if you're, you know, not together, you got to find a way to work together, you know, be mature. And look, we're going to work together to raise these children.
Definitely.
So you got to be on board on what matters, what's important, right? Because it takes two, and especially in this day and age, to really do it. You know, it's going to take support from, you know, like she was saying, from the community, you know, and the community is in disarray right now. So at least from both parents to really, you know, be on the same page on the things that matter, right? And so, like, in this day and age, there's so many things out there, like, just with technology and everything, the phone, everything being so accessible, you know, you have to keep it real. You have to talk to your children about everything, you know, the adult topics, guns, drugs, maybe even gangs, you know, sex, all of that stuff, right? You have to talk to them, and you got to talk to them first. You can't let them find out about all this stuff. Yeah. Because I was about to say in the streets, but they're not even hanging out anymore.
They online.
It don't matter where you live at. You might think you live in some real nice neighborhood or somewhere off in some little town or somewhere where it's not a lot of, you know, bad influences. But it's like, nah. The internet, and with the internet and things trying to make stuff like that look cool, you know, rap and stuff, you got to talk to your children first now,
Definitely.
Right? They can't be finding out about it by watching some video where it's trying to make degenerate behavior look cool, and their eyes are all big and they're all starstruck watching it and thinking it's cool, and then their peers are telling them it's cool too. You can't let that happen. You got to talk, and you have to be able to explain to them what it really is and what life really leads to when you get caught up in that stuff.
Yes, so it starts with a connection. When our children get older and they start venturing out and we start, you know, trying to live life, you know, because a lot of things that mothers do is they dedicate their whole lives to the babies, right? We don't get no sleep. We don't hang out. We don't do nothing. We in the house with the kids for the most part until they reach a certain age. And when they show that they're self-sufficient, you know, that's usually about 10, you know, 10-ish. I was watching my siblings at 9. Okay? 9 years old, I had newborn babies that I was watching. So if you understand what I'm talking about, you already know. We were trained to be moms at early ages, some of us who have siblings, and if, you know, your parents was out there in the streets or whatever. So we were trained to be moms early, and that can either make you better or make you worse, because you either follow in the footsteps of the path that was not good, was not thought out, was not planned. You follow that footsteps because, you know, that's how generational curses start. Or you like, I ain't being like this when I'm older with my kids. And then you become a better parent than what you had. And not to knock, you know, our parents, because they were young and they didn't have nobody to pass them, you know, this knowledge of self-love and understanding. And, you know, to show us what is haram versus what is halal. What is, you know, the right path versus the path to destruction. You know, especially like when you're living in the inner city and you have all this stuff going on all the time. Drugs, partying, you know, that fantasy life. And so you have to make a conscious decision how you going to raise your children.
Yeah, and you can't just be like, oh, nah, none of that stuff. Can't do none of it. You know, because, man, there was this Disney movie playing, right? The children was watching. It was Miss Marvel. And I guess in Miss Marvel, they like Indian or Pakistani. And the girl wants to go to a party. And, you know, we could just hear it in the background. The mom's like, even though everything at this party is haram,
Right.
you know, we're going to let you go, right? And, you know, it went sideways. I think she wanted to dress provocative or something, and Mom's like, nah. But the reason I'm saying that is because, like, you know, she was showing wisdom in that show how, like, okay, we can't protect you from everything.
You have to learn your
You
lessons.
have to, and, you know, especially as you get older, you have to be able to show that you understand what's real, what's important, and that you can be trusted. Because it's here anyway. It's not like we can stop you. You got the internet. You could be watching, you know, porn. You could be watching, just watching the music videos and stuff now is watching porn. Just watching the BET Awards. Everybody was sharing the photo. They got the one Asiatic woman where she's dang near naked, where she just got like little things on her nipples. And she got like fake breasts and stuff. And it's like, and then there was a dude too who got like a dress on, man. And I guess he's like some rapper. His name's like Saucy something.
But anyways,
But I'm telling you, the children's
stuff
exposed to
yeah.
this. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because you can't stop that. So they're being exposed to it, you know, and man, their friends are probably talking about it, you know, and people at school and stuff, or even if you think you homeschool, that's another thing. And I'm, you know, props to people that homeschool. But even if you think you're, you know, able to keep your children away from all this stuff, you know, it's in the world and it's readily accessible.
So
it's not like China
yes.
where you're going to lock down the internet and only let them see certain stuff. No, they're going to be exposed to it. You have to give them the truth.
And they're going to want it more if you do it that way. So your job is not to keep them away from everything. It's to provide the wisdom and knowledge that is in the energy of everything so that they can see, you know, what's the harmful energies, what's the story behind the story, the marketing strategies that's being marketed to us, and why. Okay, this is how you do it. You don't say, don't do this, don't do that, I said so. Because, you know, our parents' generation, they were the generation that came up where kids should be seen and not heard. Don't ask questions. It is because I say so. And our generation, we like, man, we ain't trying to do none of that. We want to know why. We want to know what you think is true. You know, why you think it's true and why you forcing it on us.
Yeah, and so it's even more so like that now because they don't even have to depend on you for answers. They can just go, well, you ain't going to tell me. Okay, I'll go look it up. Right? And so, you know, you have to actually take out time to show something else. So really what need to dial it back. What's really important is we have to work on ourselves because, like, even more so than the things that we say and try to teach, it's more so how we're living.
We're the first examples.
Yes,
if we are hypocrites, they gonna see that, they gonna use that against us, and they gonna point it out.
Yeah, and especially the older they get, you know. So we have to work on ourselves. And even if, you know, we messed up and we've done things, you know, we know better now. We have to show that we're working to improve. Yes. And we're actually it's not just, you know, talk. Because, like, the first thing they're going to see is how we're living, right?
Yeah.
How we're actually living, what we're actually doing. And that's why, like, it's really important for Moors to actually get the foundation. You know, whether you actually, you know, joining a mosque, right? And you're practicing Islam, 5 pillars and everything, or you're in the temple, whatever you do, Man, even if you're in the church, man, if you're in the church, I know the prophet said get the church back to the European and everything, but if you're in the church, you need to take it seriously.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Actually live according to the scripture. You know,
it ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yes. That's the only reason why it wouldn't work, is if you're not living according to the scripture. There's a lot of people, you know, who are in the temple who aren't even, there's even people in leadership who aren't even trying to live by it. And that's why they're not really successful. In the same way with church. So not knocking the church or any form of religion. But we actually have to live by the scripture, set the example by how we live. And that's how you reach your children. So we have to internalize the lessons, you know, and get into dig into the Quran, right? The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and live by these principles. And then you can teach it to your children. And most of the teaching will just be how you live every day. You know, if you saying this stuff, but, you know, you partying or you drinking, getting high, you know, or you out here trying to sleep with different women or different men, the children gonna see that.
They're smart, man.
They're going
so
to see
smart.
it. If you always got some dude coming over, you know, and sometimes it's different dudes, and they hear what's going on in the bedroom, you know, come on. You can't tell them nothing.
Yep.
They hear it, and that carries way more weight. Hearing your mom in there with the dude carries way more weight than anything she's going to try to tell me. I'm sorry. It's like, you know, I know what you're doing. You're not married to this dude. You know, that's going to carry more weight. So she can't come to me later like, well, Moors, and we need to wait until we get married to have sex. It's like, Mom, you just with like 2 different dudes this last month.
And what, you ain't married to my daddy either. Like,
yes, you know, in the back of the head, that carries, you see, that carries way more weight than anything that she could try to teach with her mouth.
Yes.
So we have to get ourselves in order first, always. And so, like, that's really important because, you know, like the sister was saying, you say you're raising the children, they're getting older, so you're happy because they can do more things, and so you're going out more, you're dating different dudes more,
trying to live life. Ain't
hey, I'm not knocking it, man. We human.
What you do is how you do it.
But they seeing it. And so if you're trying to teach them, you're trying to show them the right way. You don't want them to get pregnant when they're 14, when they're 15. So you're trying to teach them, and they're not hearing it because they're looking at how we live.
Yes. So
you can't do it. And that's the hard part. You got to express restraint and control over your lower urges.
Yep.
And then the children see it. And so it's a totally different script. If you like exercising self-control, you know, you're not sleeping around, you get married, and that's who you're with. Now they got to respect it. Your words don't need, you might not even say but 1 or 2 things about it. You might have a conversation about how important it is and why you don't want to have children out of wedlock and stuff like that. And then they're looking at you, and even though you might not have been with their dad, they see that you're married. Or they see that you like practicing what you preach.
Yes.
Because you know you don't want that stuff that you're telling them to happen. And so they take it more seriously. So that's the lesson. Like, we really have to work on ourselves, because your words carry even more weight than all the music that's getting promoted to them, that's promoting, promoting lower values. Everything that we're seeing on TV and all that, just how you live your life is the most important thing.
Yes, and the examples that we set, you know, because like we're talking about the family unit. We're talking about, you know, making better choices and actually, you know, thinking about stuff like marriage. And if we remember, you know, just this past week, the Roe versus Wade, you know, it was overturned this, you know, on the summer solstice. And a lot of people, you know, it's a lot of talk about it, a lot of negative and positive talk from both sides of the tree. And, you know, we don't get into stuff like that because it's like, first of all, we know that laws are made on a state level, right? So, like, I was just having this conversation with somebody. You know, like the president don't come to Ohio and to Columbus and say, this is what y'all gonna do. That doesn't know. It's on a local level. If you want change,
the governor's the head of state.
That's right. If you want change, there is a proper way to go about doing it. Not complaining, not crying, not marching. No, 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 no. You have to think politics. You have to learn how laws are made and how laws are passed in your local in your local government. And once you understand that, you can get the people together and you can get stuff done. Okay? So things are not just what you think they are. They just want to get the people riled up because it's more distractions. And they know the people aren't so savvy with the laws and your rights. And you're not going to go and actually research and look this stuff up and learn, you know, how to navigate through the changes and through the chaos that they're throwing at us all the time. So when we understand this, we can look at it from both ways, and we can understand both sides. And, you know, like, they just be pulling stuff out of nowhere to throw at us to see what's going to get us riled up, what's going to get us, you know, what's going to get our attention. And then you're not noticing that the shelves in the grocery stores are bare. You don't know that the truck drivers can't get the food into your local grocery stores. You're not paying attention to that, but you're paying attention to, you know, the rhetoric, the distractions.
You don't know that the sun is sending solar flares through like every week now, when usually it happens more rarely, you know, a couple times a year. But lately it's been like boom, boom, boom. You don't know that the sun and the earth actually communicate, and that NASA and the Jet Propulsion Labs actually confirmed this. They have these tubes, these invisible tubes that open up every couple of minutes, and it's called, forget the name, flux transfer event. Pops up somewhere randomly on the earth every couple minutes, and they're trying to track it because they can't predict it. And it's real. And so it pops up, and then the sun and the earth send all this information back and forth, and boom. If it's a distress call from the earth, the sun sends solar flares.
Boom.
So it's happening. So nobody even putting it in that perspective.
And that's the family unit, the mother and the father in direct communication. Okay? It's as above, also below. It's around us. It's all around us all the time, where we have the feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, and the divine masculine energy working together in unison. Now, if it's happening to the planets and the stars, we know that we're supposed to take those examples and put those into play in our everyday lives with our own family units. And that's why having the mother and the father in the household is very important. Okay?
But even if that's not the reality, still have to work something out to co-parent. And it's best if you can get on page with the things that matter, so that you can both teach and show the children what's really important, because you don't want to lose them to the world. Because to lose them to the world is basically losing yourself to your lower self. Yeah, and the legacy, anything that you're trying to build, you know. Now, instead of them being set up to succeed, now they got to wrestle with the lower self.
They don't even know what the lower self is.
And don't even know that it exists. Yeah, because they don't teach us this, right? And so, you know.
That's a lose-lose battle, you know? The odds are very slim to coming out of that. And that's why we have so much discord, you know, death, negativity in our communities. And another thing, by being a Moorish American Muslim, like, we have the knowledge of self, and we know who our Father God Allah is. So we're limitless. We don't have to dump on anybody's beliefs or religion, because we understand where they're coming from. We know where it comes from. And by us knowing and being scientists and being spiritual, we can vibe with anybody on the planet and still resonate from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, no matter how ignorant we believe them to be, or how, you know, we know better. We know we could shift the ethers in a blink of an eye and make people understand what we are coming when we're coming in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Yeah, so we're not looking for reasons to put people down. We're looking for the light. Looking for the light within. And for the commonality.
And
so
even in the darkest times, there's always light. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And that's so yeah, we don't knock the church. Most of our people are, you know, in the church in some form or fashion, even if they're not going. They consider themselves Christians. So you don't knock that because it's like, look, the scripture has the guidelines in there for you to get your house in order. It's just that people aren't applying it and taking it seriously. If we really had been true Christians, like the Roe versus Wade, all that stuff wouldn't even affect us. Right?
Right.
Because we already know how to guide ourselves. And that's why it's important, like, if you consider yourself a Moor, you can't be on some, religion is, you know, I don't need religion, I'm so advanced that I'm
religion is a way of life.
And done that.
It's how you living.
Religion is tying yourself back into what? The ways of your forefathers and foremothers.
That's right.
So that you can come into your divine covenant. And so what that really means is, okay, it's not just like some street knowledge or something, just, oh yeah, I'm God, I know. No, it's like, no, keeping it real. Like, you have the potential, the creator is within you, but you have to subdue your own carnal nature in order to unfold these higher aspects of you. Right? Because we're all connected to the creator at all times. But guess what? Things are so murky because of the power, the hold that the carnal nature has over you that it might as well not even exist. So you have to subdue that carnal nature to put it back in its proper place as a servant instead of master. And so since most of us don't even know this is true, don't even know that this is real, that's why we're in this position. And that's the entire humanity. That's not even just, you know, there's a lot of people try to just put us up over everyone else. No, that's the entire humanity. All right. Everyone out there is in this position. Okay. And so we have to take what we have. We have divine instructions and actually use them to set our households in order, starting with ourselves. And so that's why I'm saying, like, it's important. Yes, on a holy day, everybody should be on a holy day call. Like, we're having a holy day call on Zoom. Everybody listening should come on the call and also donate to the temple, right? Because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Everybody should come on that call and then be on the Sunday school call and actually be using these lessons. Even if you're not in Ohio, you should be on there learning how to actually do this Islamism for real, because Islamism, that ism means that you're putting it into work in every aspect of your life. There's no separation of church and state for us, no separation of temple and state, right? Especially since our ancestors, you know, the temple was the center of the civilization. You had priest kings, right? So we're returning to that. So that's why you can't scrap that. All the pyramid builders, you look at the ancient Olmecs, the Mayans, the Egyptians, they all had priest kings. So you can't think you're smart if you're like, oh, I don't need religion. No, that's a step. That's like a phase that some people go through, you know, when they're, I guess you could say awakening. Yeah, because you're soured. You've seen, you know, religion done wrong.
Yes.
And so now, you know, it's a part of the process, but you now graduate beyond that, okay? And you need to make this a part of your life. It ain't just some lip service stuff that you pay. No, it has to be your life, because if it's not, you're not going to get the true power from it, the true, you know, freedom that it gives you, right? What can set you free? Truth. That's it. So we have to return to that. It can set you, it can set where you can actually build a legacy. You can't build a legacy, or it's very difficult if you're doing all this and you can't even get through to your own child. Your child becomes a teen parent or something like that. Or maybe they like 20 or something, but they get pregnant with somebody that they just messing around with, having random sex. So now they got a baby daddy.
Oh, but you don't want to talk about the other stuff that comes with that, the abuse, the, you know, just the drama, the negativity.
Yeah, it makes life hard.
It's not only about bringing kids into the world, because kids are blessings. Our children are blessings.
Yeah.
No matter how they arrive, because we all have an assignment, right? Everybody has an assignment. And, you know, other people might not understand your assignment. You have trials and tribulations that you need to overcome that you are set here to observe. We are all part of the observer, the all-seeing observation, because we are having human experiences. And it's okay to have human experiences. This is why we are all here. But we do not have to suffer so greatly to understand these
We have the
experiences.
divine instructions to get beyond that suffering that, you know, comes from being stuck in a carnal self, the lower self. Man, everybody is sharing this video of Meg the Stallion online, like twerking, just like vibrating her butt cheeks real fast. And it's like everybody sharing it and commenting on it. And it's like, I'm saying it like this for a reason. Now, you got this type of stuff being shared, and it's probably got like hundreds of millions of views. Okay, but what's the downside of thinking that is cool, and like for women thinking, ooh, this is what I gotta do to be like
Loved, liked, accepted.
and then the men like, okay, we like looking at it and okay, I need to do this, I need to have sex with as many women as possible. What's the downside to that? Right? Like having children out of wedlock, because you know the whole that's what really happens when you're having sex, right? You know, there's STDs, but like you creating a child with somebody that you're just with because you just wanted to have sex with them, and now you don't really like each other, and now you know, potentially paying child support, or you got somebody who's maybe raising a child by herself, and, you know, just all types of things, you know, and then arguments and fights because you two weren't supposed to be together anyway, and maybe even domestic abuse and all types of stuff. They're just like, it's not cool. It's not fun, but they're not showing that. They're not showing you videos of two people who created a child together. They don't even like each other or know each other. And they like dealing with it, and it's not fun.
Yep, it's all temptation.
They're not showing you that, though. They're just showing you the sexual part. Right, appealing to the lower nature. The lower self travels the earth to and fro, seeking whom it may devour. And so they're not going to show you the reality of it. The reality is that it's not fun. It's not cool. Maybe having a child with somebody who moves all the way to the other side of the country. And so now you got a son or daughter that you don't even see. And then if you do go see, it takes a lot of money. You know, because you two can't even come together and put your money together and save it and grow it. No, y'all don't even want to be together. You know, maybe you got somebody you only seeing once a month. It's your child.
Once a year.
Yeah, once a year. Yeah, and it's even worse. And then you don't even know what they're being exposed to. And then maybe she's dating another dude, and that dude's acting like the father. And that's not fun. And I know that's reality, but I'm just saying nobody's showing that. They're not showing that. They're showing like, you know, Cardi B and Meg the Stallion super sexualized. Yeah, barely got anything on. Always twerking, and the other people that I don't even know their names doing the same thing. That's what they promote. And they don't show you the reality and how it's not fun, how it sucks to be in those situations. It makes life harder, and then you've lost the child because they're coming up in this situation, and now they got their own issues to deal with. They don't even know about the lower self. They don't even care. They don't even know the solution. Knowing the lower self and higher self and how to deal with it properly, you have the solution. So now it's pointless because you can't even get through to your own child. And so that's what I'm saying. You have to live. You have to do your best to live by these principles and then to teach it to your children, because if not, you're losing them to the world.
Yeah.
You're losing them to their lower self.
And you are just recreating the negative and the generational curses that we're here to break. We have the tools that we need to break these generational curses, and you're just going along with them, extending their time.
And extending the suffering. And so this is why it's important, I would say, you know, just quick advice to actually get into the Quran, dig into, like I said, get on the Holy Day call with us. Get on the Zoom. We'll put that info in the description. We do it every Friday and Sunday at 7. But to actually get in to the lessons from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Quran Course, and they actually put these into practice in your life and to teach it to the children. But, you know, even if they're not trying to hear it, like you talking about it, live in it so they can see it. And then so your life is better and their life is better, because when you're trying to be the best version of you, by default, they're going to see the benefits of it too.
Oh, yeah.
And so trying to be the best version of you and teaching, that's how you teach for the most part, by how you live. you know, and then actually talking to them about this stuff, putting it in the proper perspective, because they're seeing it. And like I said, they seeing the video just showing the appealing stuff. It's not showing the negative, the downside, what really comes. They promoting these dudes grown. And then that's the thing. You really have to do this because there's grown men out here who are like 50 years old who are promoting gang activity. You got guys who's on these stupid podcasts and stuff who like, you know, actually sitting up talking about gang activity and criminal behavior like it's cool, you know, and they're old. And so even the older generation are failing us because they promoting this, you know?
Right, because it's like, this is your idea of fun?
And they're reckless with it. And then you have the younger, the people in their 40s and 30s promoting it. And you have the people, you know, the young adults in their 20s, right? They promoting it. So you got all of these people promoting this debauchery, and they're not showing the real downside of living like this, right? You know, being old as hell and maybe like being broke and not really having no solution because you weren't building up your skills when you were younger. You participating in, you know, BS. You're out there getting locked up, right? Yes. Or just going to prison and wasting your life.
We need to shift our idea of fun and excitement. You know, because we have to put into, like she said, we have to put in perspective, you know, what is fantasy versus what's reality, what is fun to us, okay? Like, because fun to me is building on my children's strengths, you know, to developing their weaknesses, to helping them to overcome their weaknesses. You know, that's fun for me. Traveling, being able to travel with my family and have these outstanding life experiences, you know, and taking
even
on
going
things.
To the park, yes. Going canoeing, going hiking, you know, going swimming, something like, you know, like I just saw something online where it said being unconscious is not the flex that you think it is. Because somebody was talking about how they're going to have to get drunk and messed up this weekend. And it's like,
it's
look,
a trap.
It's not the flex. It's not. This is the downside to all that. They show the people, like the rappers, they talk about getting drunk. They talk about getting high. You abusing anything they can find. But they're not talking about how you throwing up in the toilet. Right? Because your body has alcohol poisoning. Or maybe how you got behind the wheel of a car. And now you know, you did something terrible. Because you driving drunk and you killed somebody. Right?
Yeah,
no one talks about that though. That's not a fun video. No, we're not gonna show that. Just get drunk, party up, right? Get toe up. So, nobody's talking about that.
Take your children's focus off of, you know, entertainment and start changing their minds and hanging out with them and having fun with them when you have the time to do stuff. Stop thinking on a selfish level of
they got a screen in front of them.
Now, like, you know, they self-sufficient. Now I'm gonna go have fun and enjoy myself with alcohol and drugs and staying up late. Like, you feel horrible the next day. You can't wake up. That's not fun. That's just what you've been sold. That's just what you have bought into.
And unconsciously, they see you. They hear the music like, oh, that's the way to be. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
And they can't wait to get started.
Yep. You're the example. And if you're not doing those things, but you're not there, you're not with them, you're not holding their hands, you're not walking with them, you're not talking to them every day. You can't just do there. You have to do this every day. You have to be consistent with this stuff. Until they are ready to leave the nest, you have to be there and be consistent. You have to be their best friends. They have to want to talk to you and be able to trust you. And they cannot do that because you have shown that you're unstable mentally. You have shown that you are a hypocrite. You want from them what you cannot apply to yourself. You are hard on them. You're yelling at them. You're cursing at them. But you're not waking up and being with them from the time that they wake up and going to sleep with them to the time they go to sleep. So they are out there searching. They're looking for nourishment. They're looking for love. They're looking for fulfillment in any way they can. And a lot of the ways that they're fighting is negative and it's a trap. And you have to put on those boots and you have to walk in the spirit of gratitude and show them the light. that is within them, that is within you, that is in your household. You have to will abundance of wealth, health, success. You have to will it. It's a team effort. It's not all on you. That's why I'm saying you have to reach your children. You have to see what they love, what they hate, so that you could play on those. Because when you start having children, you become a team. These are people that are in your lives forever. And okay, back in the day, our great grandparents and grandparents, they had a lot of kids, 17, children, 20 children. Because why? They had farms. And the more children you had, the more helpers you had on them farms. So the more you got to produce. Now we have to think in simple terms. We have to go back to the basics, back when it was simple, right? We had farms, we had land. We needed people to work those farms and land. We had children to work the farms and land. So we passed on the skills to grow things, the skills to understand that we have to work together as a team. Okay, when they started coming over here, the colonizers, they started taking away our land. And that broke the family unit, because the family unit was a team. We worked together to produce food, to do trade, for everything. Look at the Amish. They still doing it. And this is how they're doing it. And this is how we need to get back to doing it. Okay? We see the sports teams. We have to understand teamwork makes the dream work. So your family unit is a team. Even if you're not together with the mom or the dad, it's still a team. And you still have to use each other for the greater good, for the success, for the generational wealth that can be created out of these situations. Islam,
happy holy day.
Happy holy day, family. Peace and love.
All right, Islam Moors. I just want to ask everybody to make sure that you click like and share this video, right? Just to help get this information out there. And let me say a couple more things. So just want to share this again. Was looking at this comment somebody had shared online, just, speaking about our culture. We don't have a proper culture to begin with. And it's true. And that's why it's, our people, like in general, like we're down for whatever, whatever can be promoted to us, especially the younger people. Okay. And so that's why it's so important to come in to have Islam, right? To actually have a foundation to stand on. And we're not talking about going and copying with someone else. No, we have an American born prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who came and returned this to us in a way that we can come in and realize our true potential and be better people. Okay. And to have control over our communities, beginning with our own households, our families. You can't skip on that, right? Your household should be in order. As a Moorish American, let me look at this real quick. So just looking at Facebook, right? If we're truly Moorish Americans, when we're scrolling through Facebook, if we're Moorish American Muslims, we ain't even talking about this stupid stuff that they got for us to be distracted about. Like the video with the woman exposing her baby daddy because he brought food for his son and not for the other children that she got with other dudes. And I see, like, I'm not knocking anybody that's talking about it, but that's what everyone's talking about. But if you're true Moorish American Muslim, this shouldn't even be an issue for us, because like we have the divine instructions that make it where we aren't even in those situations where we have children with a bunch of different people. And even if we are in those situations already, the tools stop that, and also to do our best to make the best out of these situations. So instead of you having this woman that you can't stand and y'all can't co-parent, when in reality it's like y'all not really liking each other because you're not sleeping together anymore or something like that. Now as a Moorish American Muslim, you're more mature, to work things out. We're going to co-parent even though we're not together, and it's going to work. And you're going to set a better example for your children so that they don't wind up in this same situation. Right? If you a real man, a real woman, you don't want your son to be out here and now he's got, children with different women, and he's not able to even really be like a father like he wants to, and he's miserable. It's hard. You don't want to recreate that, so you want to stop that cycle, right? And even that video that got put out. Now, this woman was saying that the woman in the video said every day he comes to bring his son food. Like, how you gonna knock that? He's doing it every day. What the hell? That's not bad. But anyway, somebody else had said online that video was fake. It was like, you know, it was a skit. They put it out. It was fake. It was just this woman trying to get attention, right? And you know, with Moorish American models, we can't even be caught up in this. This doesn't even apply to us. You know, everybody else, they talking about this, or they talking about R. Kelly got locked up for 30 years. That wouldn't even apply to us. We don't even care. R. Kelly was a pedophile. Everybody know that. If you, especially if you're from Chicago, you've been knowing that. I'm not even from Chicago, but I know going there, spending time with my cousin there as a teenager, hearing about how this dude was cruising around the high schools as a grown man looking for girls to pick up, and then he married Aaliyah. Come on. As Moorish American models, we don't even get caught up in any of those distractions, right? So our mind state is now on a higher plane, a higher level, because we're not falling for the okie doke. And so then our children, you know, they're not being exposed to the debauchery, even the debauchery that we do on our own. That's why I was saying it's more important how you actually live. You can't teach your child to, you know, not get caught up out here with all this stuff, trying to over-sexualize everything to make us animals, to make us beasts. You can't teach them that if they see you sleeping with different dudes all the time, knowing you're not married to any of them, right? Or, you know, different women, you're a man, right? You know, and your words carry way more weight. I know being a child and hearing what's going on in the bedroom with mom, with these different dudes, that would carry way more weight than anything she could possibly say, right? So you have to live it. You have to live it. And that's why things aren't working out. We're not living it in general, like not all of us, but, you know, if we're not doing our best to actually live it, then that's why it doesn't work. Okay. And even now, I mentioned Disney earlier. We know Disney has an agenda, right? This executive producer at Disney, who was a sister, was on tape. They put the tape out where she's talking to the Disney stockholders and the other executives about her not so secret gay agenda. And that was an internal discussion. Somebody must have been upset by that, and they put it out on the internet. So they openly doing this. It's not a secret. But guess what? Your children are going to get caught up in it because they're out here in the world and they're vulnerable. So we have to have a culture. It's important. It's so important that we're not just out here just down for whatever, right? As it said on that picture I was showing, that's why I was showing it earlier, where the person said Black people don't have a culture. We don't have a culture. That's really important to understand the real ramifications of what that means. Okay, we can't be the only ones out here who don't have something that's our own, something that sets us up to succeed, that doesn't need or require anyone else's permission. Okay, we don't have to ask, you know, the imam or anyone else, no disrespect, but we don't have to ask this person from Afghanistan or Pakistan or something for permission to be Muslims and to practice as we do, to practice our culture. We don't. They may not agree, but they're wrong. Okay. Look up the what's called the UNDRIP, UNDRIP, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Just look that up. All indigenous people have the right to practice their own culture and customs as they believe, free of influence or hindrance by other people, by colonial powers. This was so important because this was adopted in 2007, I believe, 2008, right? But this was just something that different indigenous people across the world have been fighting for, especially in the Americas, to be recognized and for it to be understood across the board that they have the right, just like everyone else, to Just like how you have manifest destiny, right? We have the right to control our own destiny. If we see it fit to return to the ways of our ancestors, whatever that may mean for us, nobody else can come and say, oh, no, you can't do that. Oh, no, that's not true. Nobody can do that. All right. And we have the right to do that. When this was adopted, right, in September 2007, 144 states, talking about nations, voted in favor, 4 voted against. And guess who they are? All colonial powers. Australia, they have their indigenous people, their Aborigines. Canada, right, they have theirs. New Zealand, right, they have their Aborigines. And the United States, which has its own indigenous people that don't even know they're indigenous to this land. Talking about the Moors, right? And so we have the right to declare who we are, right? The things that give us dignity, that give us pride and better understanding of our connection to the human family. We have the ability to do this unhindered upon by anyone. We don't need anyone else's permission. They don't have to like it. They don't have the right to come against us, to attack us for practicing and doing as we believe. And so it's so important to come into this, because the program that is set up for us is set up to destroy us. It's set up to destroy us. It's set up to eat up the families and spit them out. Okay, that's what it's been doing. That's what the track record, especially here in North America, has shown over the decades. It's been designed to destroy the Black family. Right. One of the other distractions, if we were true Moorish American Muslims, we wouldn't even be caught up in this foolishness talking about Roe versus Wade. Right. Talking about abortion. We wouldn't even be caught up in that, because as Moorish American Muslims, we know that we don't desire to bring children into unwanted situations. We're to get married. Right. We're not even to be out here doing things that are going to wind up bringing children into the world that, are in bad situations. Because you're only going to be having sex with somebody that you're married to. Period. So that's not even an issue for us. Of course, we're not trying to kill little babies. And it wouldn't even be our concern about what other people want to do, because we know what's important for us. So we're not even caught up in that. That's not our culture. It's not our culture to be out here, twerking and doing all of this foolishness that's promoted and pumped. And then wondering why we got little babies coming out. Right. And so, eventually it's on us first to get our own house in order. This is what the prophet commanded us to do. But then eventually to go out and to teach the world. Right. To teach the world, and not just to let them know about the UN. Like, I don't even know, what type of resources are actually being put behind this. I don't know. It's not so much about the UN as it is about us leading the way. But we can't lead the way in our current condition. We have to get ourselves together and show the potential. Let's reach our potential. That's one of the other things, man. You have people, even people who are in the temples, even people who try to position themselves in leadership. They don't take this stuff seriously. They're not trying to be the best version of themselves. And they're doing it halfway. And that needs to be stomped out. Okay? Because you're not going to succeed if you're doing that. You're just copying everything that and I don't want to knock people of European descent, because it's not like all people of European descent are bad. It's just these colonial powers that we have seen how they distorted things. Okay, because they even punish their own people. They don't even like the rest of the so-called white people, Europeans. They punish them too. So we're looking at things that they've done, how they're corrupt in their society, how they're corrupt in the way that they run government, how they even come into other indigenous countries and corrupt their government, right? They wouldn't be able to do that in those different nations if those people held to their own principles and put themselves first. Nobody could come in and corrupt us. And so with us as Moorish Americans, we can't tolerate these people, especially these ones who want to place themselves in leadership that don't even uphold our holy and divine principles. You can't look the other way. We see that a lot. We see a lot of Moors that are so cowardly, or they have other motives. Maybe maybe they look the other way when they see Moors that aren't doing the right thing, that don't uphold the principles. They look the other way. They don't even care, right? And that's the same mentality that's got us in the position we're in right now. Just real quick civics lesson. In whatever city, town, state, whatever you're in, all right? If you don't like the way things are being done in government, you can change it. You can change it overnight. And it's not about the president. It's about your local government. Why don't you go to the city council meetings? Get all of those people out of there if they're not doing what they're supposed to. The mayor, city council, everyone, right? You can even go up to the county level, right? Who's over the millions of dollars or billions, depending on how big your county is, that's coming in there, right? Who's the county commissioner? Who's over all of that money, right? Get them out of there. Get them out. You don't like the police. You think the police are, they're allowing people who are like race soldiers who are coming in. They're treating, they're being harsh, dealing with our children, our people, right? They're unfair, maybe even killed, someone unfairly. Get them out. Who's the sheriff? The sheriff is over all the law enforcement for the entire county. Get them out. You can get them out. Even as so-called Black Americans, they could get them out. I know the place where I live at, Columbus, Ohio, there's like between maybe 2.5, maybe almost 3 million people in this metropolitan area. And probably 400,000 of them are so-called Asiatics, right? Plus you have Asiatics from other countries, Somalia and all that here too. So there's enough to affect change to whereas, because we've had that police brutality and police killing innocent Asiatic people here, we didn't like it. We could put our own person in, over law enforcement, sheriff. But the people aren't doing it, right? They have a laissez-faire attitude. Like that means they don't really care. They're not really involved. So the people could change things in an instant. Just like that, you have total control over your local government. And then even at the state level, you have control. Always, at all points in time. We're not victims. So people have a victim mentality. And so this is the mentality that people have from living under this system where everybody's got the fluoride in their water. Everybody's all, lackadaisical, just letting things go, letting these people, who are actually public servants rule over you. They're public servants. You allow them to rule over you. And then they take that attitude into our own system, our own nation, right? Something that the prophet set up for us, which is divine. And so this is what you see. You see this same attitude within our own society. They allow this stuff to go, and that can't be allowed. You have to end it. You have to shut it down. It can't be allowed. If you allow it, you're taking a European mindset into your own culture and custom, which is, a recipe for disaster, right? And Islam, I see what the brother's saying too. It's futile because the reason it's futile is because the majority of the people don't care, right? The deaf, dumb, and blind, they don't care. They're not going to care. They're going to go for the easiest route. And what's being shown to us is the easy route, just to, eat, overeat, watch TV, hey, the new Stranger Things came out, right? Today. Watch it. Binge watch some shows, drink some liquor, whatever you do, right? Don't even worry about it. But then complain when those shelves get too empty, because the shelves are getting empty, right, at the grocery stores. Right? Complain after the fact instead of taking control. So I get that. But here's the thing. Okay. That may be going on in the greater population, like maybe in your city, in your town. But it's more we set up supposed to be our community. Eventually you have your own town and you're supposed to be in control of that. And it doesn't matter if there's only 100 of you or 200. That's enough to have your own community. And so, yeah, you can't get the freaking 2 million people that live in your city to do it, right? But there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to, wherever we're at, get 200, get 100, get 300, right? Let it grow, get 400 people together, have our own towns, and have full total control over that. There's no reason why that can't take place. But here's the other thing. This is why this whole broadcast is about families, the importance of getting our families in order and getting them in line, is because none of that's going to happen if you can't do that. It ain't going to work. You can't create a town if you can't get your own house in order. You can't. It's not going to work. It's a pipe dream. Okay? Anyone that's trying to skip over on this, if you're not going to work on yourself to be the best version of yourself and be the living example for your children, right? There's no way you're going to get a town, a city, or a state. Okay? None of that stuff's going to work. It's just a pipe dream. So we got to work on ourselves, get our households in order. The children got to be on board. They have to understand why it's important, right? They can't see, all this work being done and they're about to piss it away. They're going to go off and, just get some European person pregnant and just be out here doing something stupid. They have to see the importance of it. They have to know that it's for real. This is not a joke. I'm not just talking about this for no reason. So, the people need to take it seriously. And if they see you taking it seriously and just doing the best job you can, then the example will be set. And that's really all that you could do. That's the best you could do. And, it's not as hard to build towns and to control your destiny as it seems. Even with the sellouts, we have our own culture, our own religion. We have our own nation. Why would we even allow sellouts to be within that, especially if it's small? If you look at the Jews, you look at what the Jews do, especially like in New York. They have small communities. They have control over those communities. Are all the Jews in New York living in those communities? No. Are all the Jews in New York considering themselves Orthodox and really like holding to the Torah and all that? No. Okay? Some of them don't even go to those places. They don't even care. But the ones who are there, they hold to it. Torah is important to them. All of their children go to Torah school, right? Some of them, that's all they do is go to Torah school and master the Torah. And they have a whole structure set up so that they can be supported while they do it, right? Because that's important to them. As the brother said, they stick together. There's no reason why we can't do it. You don't need everybody to do it. Just a handful. There was a rumor spreading around the internet, floating around saying that Hitler allegedly claimed all he needed was like, a couple dozen so-called African men or, so-called black men, and he could rule the world, right? So I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying that because it doesn't matter if it's true or not. He could have been talking about a couple dozen Chinese men, a couple dozen Hawaiian or Indonesian or Nigerian men. It doesn't matter. Anybody, whatever ethnic background they are, if they're Russian and they get together and there's a couple of them and they take what they're doing seriously and they're uncorruptible because they take what they're doing seriously, they can rule over whatever they want to rule, whether that is their state or something even stronger than that, like the entire world. Like they say, the 1%ers rule over everyone else. You don't have to have a large amount of people. All you have to do is take what you're doing seriously, be passionate about it, and uncorruptible. You take it seriously, and you can do whatever you want. Nobody can stop you. All right. And everyone else, some of the people will come in as they see success building, because they're followers and not knocking it, but they'll come in because they see the structure being built and they see something that's better than how they've been living. All right. But all you need is a couple that's strong, that take it seriously and build from there. And you could take over and there's nothing that can stop you. So, the question then becomes that we have to look at ourselves. Not, I was about to say, well, we need to look at the Moors around us and see who's serious and who's not. But no, we need to look in the mirror and see if we're serious or we're not. before we point the fingers at anyone else. We need to look at ourselves and see, like, am I slipping? You know, I'm claiming to be a Moor, especially a Muslim, but here I am, I'm getting drunk in front of my own children, you know, or I'm out here sleeping around. I'm doing all of these things that are characteristic of giving way to my lower nature, right? I'm weak. I'm allowing my lower nature to rule over me. Like, as a man, like the so-called African American man, Asiatic man, you know, like what's promoted to us by us amongst our own is to be like a beast out here, just like, you know, out of control, just trying to sleep with everything. That's what's cool. And so as a Muslim, that's not cool. You got to give way to that. Like, that's weak. That means you're a slave to the lower self. So we have to look at ourselves before we look at anyone else and see, are we serious about this? Am I a slave to my lower self? Right? Am I obese? What am I doing to work on that? Get that, like, always got to stuff food in my mouth. Got to get that under control. Always doing something, right? This satisfying the lower self, whatever it is, we have to get that stuff under control. Okay. And then if we're doing this for ourselves and we building with other people, right? Now we can build something that's strong because the foundation's strong. This is not to try to act like any one of us is perfect. Okay, but what we're ultimately doing here, if we really follow the prophet, is we're working on perfecting ourselves. We're working on unfolding Allah within. It's not just accept all of our faults and that's just what it is, just deal with it. No, it's actually do the work to subdue the lower self. Don't just accept it. And we can't reach our full potential if we can't even control our lower self at the end of the day. This is what it's about. You know, so it's not, you know, to knock anyone or anything, but that's why when we look at the Quran, this is why it's so important, man. All Moors are supposed to know this. And I'm going to come back to this. Let me put a tack in that. But somebody had said earlier, just asking questions in general, it said, like, why do some Moors hang on. It said, why is it some Moors wear charms and some don't? Okay. I don't even know if this person's still here, but they said, why do some wear charms and some don't? It's because many Moors, maybe even most Moors, aren't even aware of what the temple is, who the prophet is, and what these customs and this culture is that he returned to us. They don't understand. They don't know. So there's no knock to them, right? Because I didn't know at first, right? I mean, I didn't find out about this from the temple. So, they don't know. They don't understand the importance of it, right? They don't know that we descend from the creators of civilization, and this was actually returned to us, brought to us, right? So that we can come into our divine covenant by returning to the ways of our forefathers and foremothers. They don't understand that that's not just empty rhetoric. These aren't just words. This is real. And so that's why some wear the charms and some don't. The ones who understand this are wearing the charms, or they're wearing the fez with no marking on it, just a plain red fez, because they follow their prophet to a destiny that is neither uncertain nor unknown. We're returning to the ways of our ancestors. And so then later on in life, you see, say, some sculpture. You see this, thing carved in rock, a sculpture carved out of stone of a man wearing a fez with a tassel on it. And it's from like ancient Belize or Mexico, the pyramid builders, talking about the Olmec people. When you see this, you're not confused because you know that the prophet returned this to you. These are ancient customs, culture, and tradition for real, not just in word, not just rhetoric. So he really returned something to you that's ancient. So when you see carved in stone, your people wearing a turban and fez, with no markings on it, you know that this is what your prophet returned to you. It's not surprising. So even if, say, you see a circle 7 or something like that in something that's ancient, right, carved in stone, you're not surprised. Your prophet returned it to you. So even the ways, the custom culture tradition that we have, even though our prophet divinely prepared it for us, specifically in these conditions where in America, right? He made it so that we can actually succeed. It's not so hard that you can't do it, but it's also ancient. It's returning us to those ways for real. And so that's why we wouldn't change it up. We're not switching it up. And that's why you see some Moors that do it and some that don't. It's because they don't understand how real this is. They don't know. There's no knock to them. Like, they don't know. They need to understand, but they don't know yet. Okay. And so for those of us who know, we hold to it. And that's why we go out here, like we go so hard with it, because we know it's real. That's why we work on ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, because we see, like, for real, when the prophet is teaching us how to unfold Allah within, it's not just rhetoric. It's not just empty words. These are bringing out the God powers within you. Okay, just like how there's physical laws that we have to abide by, like gravity is real. You try to jump off of a building, you're going to fall, you're going to die, right? But when you start to unfold this higher self within you, you now have access to powers that can actually transmute, or even they can skip over some of these laws, physical laws. And that might sound too way out there, so I ain't even going to go too far into that. But just saying, you're accessing the greater portion of you that is connected to divinity at all times. So these questions that we have, you already have the answer, and you have access to it now. We always had an answer, but you don't know because you're not connected to the higher self. So we're getting into that greater portion of us that's connected to everything, right? And it's not just words. And so that's why we wouldn't mark the fez. That's why, like in the Quran, that's why the Quran is up here. You know, when you really look at the Quran, the first half of it is all about first understanding your connection to divinity, and then how to get back there, how to subdue your carnal nature, your lower self, right? And then that whole saying is in there, know thyself in Allah. This is etched in stone in the temples in Egypt, probably in the temples here in Central America as well. Okay, know thyself in Allah. Know thyself. That's etched in stone. So this is for real. It's for real for us. And this is why we do that work. And we should be doing it and making it plain and understood for our children too, so that they don't take this for granted. Right? It would be a shame to be doing all this and then they just take it for granted. They don't even care. They're ready to be slaves again. Right? So we have to do the work for real. And we have to take it seriously and move it to the next level. Right? Take it further. And so, I mean, and it's not like if you don't have the fez on, you're not a Moor or anything like that. I mean, I'm just saying, like, in general, right? You've got Moors who are in the temple who don't even take this seriously. And that's a fact, and that's a shame. But here's the thing. We have our own culture, our own customs. We don't have to allow that. Moors like that definitely shouldn't be in leadership. Matter of fact, nobody should be in leadership if their family isn't in the temple with them. Plain and simple. Why? Because if you can't get through to your own family, you're not qualified for leadership. We have to set the example. It has to start right here and now, which means that your family should be able to be in the temple with you. Plain and simple. Whatever we allow to go on, that's what's going to continue. So if we allow something to go on that we know is not up to standard, we're setting a low standard for ourselves, for our children, for future generations. Right? And, this is true to say that the body is the temple. We're building the temple of man, right? But that's also just one way of looking at it. Okay? Because any group of Moors you have, whether they have an actual building or not, that are working together to build their community, that's the temple. Temple could be out levels to every. It's like everything that we see in the here and now and the manifest, it emanates from the unseen world, the spiritual realm. Everything emanates from the spiritual realm that we cannot see with physical eyes, right? But everything that you see here it's actually something playing out on the physical manifest of what's actually happening in the spirit realm. So there's levels to everything. So with the temple being your body, right? The body, temple. You also have the physical temple, which is the collective, the people, the community. All right. And the building, you know, that's one physical representation of it. But like I said, temple could be in the middle of a field. It's wherever you hold it. But it's important to have that actual real community of real people that are together and unified in thought, because it can't just be you by yourself. Now, on one level, it's a personal journey for all of us to subdue lower self and to realize our actual purpose, to unfold a lot within. But also as a collective, we're returning to the ways of our ancestors. This has already been predestined. So it's something that has to happen too in the physical realm as far as the actual Moors coming together. That actually has to happen. And that's, you know, there's, like I said, there's levels to this. And so also to touch on that, you know, the reason why you would have Moors who would feel like this, like if you're not in the temple, you're not honoring it, you're not, you know, you're not, maybe even you're not a real Moor. The reason you would have Moors that would feel like this, I'll show you why. I'll show you. Hang on. Now you see that thing up there too, saying blacks don't really have a proper culture to begin with. This all ties into the whole purpose of this story, this podcast, speaking about the families. You don't want your children thinking rap, tattoos, Jordans, and worshiping degenerate street culture, you know, gangsterism, thinking that that's being black. You don't want them to think that's what they're supposed to be, that's their culture, right? Because that's what's promoted, right? So we're returning back to something that predates all of that, something that's ancient, something that's real, okay? That's what this is about. And this also ties into what you're saying about the Moors who act like if you're not in the temple, you know, you're not honoring the prophet, you're not real, you're not a real Moor. This is why they would say that. Let me show you. The temple was the cradle of civilization. Y'all hear this?
Priests, exercising their divine prerogative, made the laws and enforced them, appointed the rulers and controlled them, ministered to the needs of the living, and guided the destinies of the dead. All branches of learning were monopolized by the priesthood, who admitted into.
Okay, let's play that on here so you can see it better. So this is why they would say that, right? Because we really are returning to nature.
The priests, exercising their divine prerogative, made the laws and enforced them, appointed the rulers and controlled them, ministered to the needs of the living, and guided the destinies of the dead. All branches of learning were monopolized by the priesthood, who admitted into their.
And this is from The Secret Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. Now watch this part.
Ranks only those intellectually and morally qualified to perpetuate their arcanum. The following quotation from Plato's Statesman is
and that is what the prophet returned to us.
Okay, so just coming back to this, right? Ancient civilizations, one example being Egypt, since this book was speaking about the ancient Egyptian government. The government of ancient Egypt was theocratic. Specifically, they called it a temple. While the pharaoh appeared to be the head of state, the priests were the actual governors of the empire. The king was placed on his throne by the priests, maintained there by priestly influence, and remained the whole of his life under the guardianship and protection of the priesthood. So you have a priest king. The governors, they're all divine ministers. They're all priests. And the temple is the center of civilization. Okay, it's, as it says in this quote from The Secret Teaching of All Ages, the temple was the cradle of civilization. All right. And so that's why you would have Moors who act like that, because there are Moors who understand that when the prophet created the temple, he created our government. It's not just that they want to be in church. No, there's more to it than that. The prophet created our government. And what he created wasn't just some random idea thought. He returned us to our ancient ways, where the temple was the cradle. And we build around it. And it's maintained and governed by the priesthood. Now, is that what we see in all temples? No. Why? Because just as I said earlier, you have even Moors who are in the temple, and of course Moors that's out of the temple that started their own Moorish organization. They don't even take this stuff seriously. Exactly as the Moor said, what Noble Drew Ali brought is not what most temples are doing. So it doesn't matter what title they have, what they call themselves. They're not even upholding the Prophet's law. They're out of order. Yes, they let it fall. They're failing. They're failing. Like, you can't be the head of a temple if you can't control yourself. Say you're married. You're the head of a temple, but you're trying to sleep around. You sleeping with somebody else. That's not your wife. You're not fit for this because you are a what? Slave to sin. You're a slave to sin. You shouldn't even be able to even entertain the idea of being in any kind of leadership if your family is not even in there with you. How can you lead when the temple is the cradle of civilization if your family is not even in there with you? It's the cradle, you know? And look at this. And I'm saying this for a reason. So this is why Moors would feel like that, who understand, who have gained, you know, who've been in the temple and is making their life better. They would feel like, look, you know, y'all don't understand. The Prophet returned our ancient government to us. You can't leave that out. And so, as the brother said, they let it fall, man. They're whack. They're lame. These Moors that are in the temple, you got Moors that are in the temple that are real, that are true to it, that hold to the Prophet. And then you have some that are snakes. They even put themselves in leadership that are snakes. And they're not holding up the Prophet at all. Okay, that's why. But you have to now ask, like, am I just going to be weak and just let it go? Or are you going to be, as the Prophet said, the new Moors who come in and sit those old Moors in the back? What you going to do? What you going to do? Are you going to fold? Because, you know, think of how weak that would be if we fold, if we allow anything to go. Somebody comes in and they're not doing what they're supposed to. And just, I'm just go do something else. Let me go start something else. You know, come on, man. Kick these lame people out. They can't do it. Not only that, but they're not even upholding the Prophet. Okay. And so the second quote was from Freemasonry of the Ancient Egyptians, once again by Manly P. Hall, but just reiterating on the government of ancient Egypt being theocratic, right? Religious. The pharaoh is a priest king. He appears to be the head of the state, but the priests were the actual governors of the empire, right? So it's maintained by the priesthood. And this is what the Prophet returned to us, a theocratic constitutional monarchy. And so that's why you will hear more saying that, like, if you're not in the temple, you know, so I'm not going to sit up and say that to you, but I'm also not going to sit up and be like, oh, the temple don't matter, right? And I'm also not going to sit up there and act like, oh, the temple is pristine, it's perfect. No, the temple is in theory, but the people that are in there, you know, some are true. Matter of fact, most are true. But then you have some of these people that are in there, they have I don't even know why they're there. I have no idea. I really don't. It makes no sense to me because they're not doing anything. Right? But this is why then you would, you know, I would just reiterate that you can't just leave it alone. You can't just be like, oh, it's corrupted. You know, that's another thing, this lackadaisical attitude that we have. Like, and I agree with this comment. The problem is the Moors can't clean up their own house. You know, everything you saying here, we have experienced this physically. Moors being turned around and feel uninvited. We felt that. We're seeing it. We even see people who try to join the temple, and for whatever reason, the local temples don't even find out about it until months later. It's ridiculous. Just something simple as contacting people who join, and you know, so it's like it's being set up to fail. And then you have, you know, all types of like screwball, just goofy things that they're doing to slow down progress, to try to keep everybody doing, you know, just doing a micromanaging, trying to keep everybody busy doing nothing, right? And it's crazy. So, these people that are trying to stagnate the movement, at some point in time, we're going to have to get some balls and be real and come and put them out. There's no purpose for them being in there. It's like, are you tired of it? We have the solution. One is a personal level, like what we had up here with the Holy Quran, working on ourselves, unveiling, unfolding Allah within. Actually, not just saying peace, God, what up, God, yo, but I'm smoking, I'm overweight, I'm messed up, I got problems, right? Nah, like actually resembling it for real, actually being in your higher self. And then 2, building our actual communities off these principles, right? With the temple at the middle. And so, this isn't going to happen if we just allow people to just come and just do whatever they want, right? We need to raise the bar up and we need to keep it high. That's why I was saying, man, shouldn't anybody be able to be in any kind of leadership if they can't get their family on board with them? Why ain't your wife and children in here? Or do you even have a wife? How you going to be in here and be a Moor like we supposed to have wives and children, or husband if you're a female, right? No funny stuff going on either, right? Husband and wife. That's it. So if you can't get your own affairs in order, you can't lead. Period. Your wife and children or husband and children should be up in here with you, because it's a real community. It's not just some backdoor meeting we go to in secret. This is supposed to be real. And so, that's one of the problems. So, yeah, and if Moors can't clean up their own house, they're lame. They're whack. If other people are able to take over your ancient government, your ancient theocratic government, and they're able to keep you out because they up in there funking up the place, messing things up, and even though we know that was the cradle of civilization and the prophet returned it to us, if you're going to allow that to happen, how weak are you? If you're just going to watch stuff on YouTube or on the internet every now and then, but you're not really a Moor in real life 24/7, how weak are you? Everything that you do should resemble who you claim to be, who you really are. Okay? And so it's something, man, I wish I had that book up here. I was going to show you, just in case anybody hasn't seen that statue of the dude wearing the fez. I was going to show it to you, but something that ancient that was returned to you that nobody else was trying to do for us. I don't care who came after or before the prophet, nobody else did this. Nobody. He didn't just tell us about it. You got plenty of people telling you stuff, right? They're making videos. You got people trying to diss the prophet, and he's been gone for nearly 100 years, but all they do is make YouTube videos. They're so whack and lame and pitiful, right? He didn't just talk. He actually set up the theocratic government for us, showed us how to do it. In 3 years, got it up and running all over the country, thousands of members, affecting politics, internationally being recognized as a head of state, being recognized, called president, and recognized as a head of state here in this country, right? By the senators and governors and stuff, everyone recognizing him, right? He did it. He showed you how it could be done. So all we have to do then is just plug and play, do the same thing. It still works. It didn't expire. So if you're going to let some lame Moors come in here who ain't even real Moors take over the temple, and they don't even have their affairs in order, and they don't even take it seriously, how lame are you? As I'm telling you, Moors, we in here fighting. We fighting against corrupt leadership, quote unquote leadership, lame, whack, and pitiful, and don't take it seriously. And we in here, butting heads with these fools. And they, I'm telling you, it's not really that hard to get them out, because anyone with eyes can see that they're not doing anything. So, Moors, if you're not in and you scared because there's a little competition, how lame are you? Become divine. So I'm saying it should be time. Everybody should feel that in their spirit, that it's time. You don't roll over and just go to sleep. It shouldn't be that easy to get you to go away from your salvation. you know, and maybe that's how the European pegged us did that, man. They so whack. All we got to do is just, you know, get them a little challenge and they'll fold, you know? And so, I mean, that's how I see it. But at the end of the day, you know, just wanted to share this because, you know, it's important for us individually and collectively that we all get our houses in order, our affairs in order. And nothing that we do, you know, or attempt to do as a collective will work if we're not working on ourselves and our own households. So at the end of the day, we want to live it for real so that you're the living message for yourself, for your children, for your spouse or whatever. And now we can't just throw the temple away. Wouldn't that be easy if we could just, like, anything is kind of difficult, we just, we don't need that. You know, we just do something else. But, you know, that's not going to work. At some point in time, you got to stand up, and you have to stand up for something. And then, you know, you have to stand up for what's right, what's yours. You can't just keep allowing people to do whatever they want. Okay, and let me, you know what? I think I found it. Okay, I'm going to show this real quick. Yeah, good. Okay, we got it. So let me show this real quick, and then we're going to get up out of here. But just did want to show that to you, that this wasn't just, you know, the temple wasn't just like some club or something, right? It was something ancient, and it's our government, and it was returned to us. So I don't care who it is that's standing in the way, kick them out. Get them out. You know, who do they think they are? Right? So, I want to show this. This is from Unexpected Faces in Ancient America. I think his name, the author is Alexander Van Wuthenau. This dude went throughout Belize and Mexico, getting pictures, also going into people's private libraries, because there's people who are like millionaires and billionaires who have stuff like this sitting in their private library, their study, right? And this is one carved in stone. What does it say? Fine characterization of old man with hat. Okay, he's got the fez with the tassel on. All right, where's this from? I believe this is from Veracruz. Okay, and so that's carved in stone. And they also have like different objects found in these regions, like in Mexico and Belize, that have Phoenician markings, right? And they're obviously like ancient Phoenician. When anytime you see Phoenician, Carthaginian, you're talking about Moors, right? You're talking about the Moabites. In this same book, it says the Paraíba text, right, was found in Brazil. Once again, it had Phoenician inscriptions on it. That wasn't supposed to be over here in what the Europeans called the New World. This is us. Anytime you see that, that's us. So it's known. It's known that we were here. We've been here, you know, but it's one thing to just make YouTubes and stuff about it, but it's another thing that the prophet actually set up this society for us, the government, so that we can come in and not just be this in name, right? Not just playing dress up. This is who we really are. So everybody has to stand up on their own and really do the work to unfold a lot within, as the brother said here in the chat, to master self. And I know everybody may not be up to that task at this point in time, but for those who are, you know, instead of just doing it solo, dolo by yourself, right? You can work together with your brothers and sisters and build it for real and take control of your own destiny. And so that's what this is about, doing it for real, instead of just in talk, and, you know, to actually move forward as a unit. And on that note, though, happy Holy Day, Moors. Make sure to get on the Zoom class. We do the Holy Day, 7 p.m. on Zoom. The info's in there. It's in the description. And, you know, it ain't really rocket science. It's science. It ain't really that hard. It can be done. All right. But every Friday and Sunday. And also send a donation. You want to send a donation to the podcast, $ Moors in America, $ Moors in America. The info's in the description to get on the Zoom class. That's at 7 p.m. On that note, though, we out, Moors. Peace and love. Appreciate everybody who commented. Make sure you click like and share.